So good evening and welcome to Vision Builders. So here we are. Even though we have our word of the week, the past couple of weeks we did word of the week, and then we wound up staying on the word of the week, and it still wound up being a good message. So I'm not complaining about it, but we didn't get to all the good stuff we wanted to. Now I miss having my lovely assistants, Edward and Nelly, on with me, co-hosting with me. So I have to flow by myself, but I'll be okay. I've done okay for the past couple of weeks. I'm a big boy now. The video, some of you guys just tuned in. So I'm gonna play that video again. I learned how to now play a video behind me in OBS. I really sat down and did a lot of figuring, and it's working out okay. It's coming together. So I'm gonna play this video one more time now that we're all here together. The classes are here. And then we're gonna talk about this a little bit. And it's talking about the difference between producers and consumers. So let's take a look at this real quick.
If you want to get rich, or if you want to get free, the path is the same. Stop consuming today. All the losers in the world are consumers. All the billionaires in the world are producers. All the free people have stopped consuming. Consumers watch movies. Producers read books. Consumers buy stuff that loses value over time. Producers buy stuff that gains value over time. Consumers always have the newest things. Producers always have the oldest things. Discipline, persistence, patience. Never be a consumer.
So here's what we're looking at. The difference between producers and consumers. And this really hit me really in a very interesting way. And he made some interesting points. And I want to touch on some of these things because even though these are not the words of the week, they're good words to have and good words for people that want to be successful. The difference between the producer and a consumer, I had to really sit down and kind of pick myself apart on this one because it spoke so many volumes. So he said, if you want to get rich or you want to get free, the path is the same. Got my team put together the note. He says, stop consuming. Then you won't eat. You'll starve to death. So let's put some balance to it, right? You have to buy something. You have to buy clothes. But what I think he's talking about is extravagant consuming for the sake of a right now thrill or a right now moment. I know people, and I've shared this before, and I didn't make this up. I make up a lot of sayings, but this is not mine. Poor people make money to buy things. Middle class people make money to gain credit to buy things they can't afford and pay it off over time. Wealthy people make money to get the money pregnant so that they can make more money. And since I've taken on that perspective and really work hard to do that, the thing is that you can get to the point where you get so staunch that you don't want to spend anything, but there is a balance to it because sometimes you have to purchase things to grow your brand or to grow your idea or to grow, your dream. The difference is I will drive a car that's 10 years old instead of go buy a new one to impress somebody. That's a consumer. So I need a car. So I am going to consume. But consume to produce. So the latest designer clothes. Listen, I wear Walmart Wrangler jeans, and this shirt here is also Walmart. And don't get me wrong, I have some nice clothes, but I'm going to find the sale, and I'm going to not go crazy in buying a whole bunch of things to make me look like I've achieved when I have not. And the problem is people that are poor are trying to look rich, and people that are rich most of the time look poor. Or wealthy people, if you see them, they really don't put a lot of focus on having the latest thing or being up to the latest trend. So let's break down some of these points. he said the losers in the world are consumers, and I already offered the balance. Somebody is so caught up into the consumption or the having of new this and new that, that they never really put money into the practice. I have money in stocks. I have money in investments. I'm looking in and buying properties and things like this, to the point that is when it's time for me to buy something for myself, I can be very stingy sometimes to myself, because I'm like, well, how does that make money? And so like I said, sometimes you have to balance and say, hey, you have to live, you have to have a life, but not to the exclusion of your growth. And watch this, not to impress other people that you have stuff that you really don't have. That's the kind of consumer he's talking about that's a loser. So watch this. He said consumers watch movies, producers read books, or you can watch a movie that's educational and instructional, and it's the same thing as a book if that's what you're doing. And I see, so some of these hard sayings, I'm trying to balance them out, and it's important because people receive and gather information differently, right? Lindsay's on here. Lindsay likes to read. She says when she sees something online or there's a manual or something, she would rather read it. To me, I learn better visually. I'd rather go find a YouTube video of somebody doing it, watch them do it. I take it in through my eyes. I ask questions or hear with my ears, and I produce better visually. So some people are visual learners, and some people read books and they consume and they learn that way. So saying don't watch movies is a little extreme, but I just want to make sure we get his point. Consumers buy stuff that loses value. This statement, producers buy stuff that gain value over time. This statement here, I have no tweak at all on. He's absolutely right. Look around your house. Look at what you own. Look at what the majority of the stuff that you have is. And if the stuff you have is stuff that continually loses value over time, and that's the majority of what you own, that's a problem. What do you have that gains value? And I'm not just talking about in your house. I'm talking about even if you say, well, I save my money, I put my money in the bank. And it may sound genius, and you may feel real proud of yourself saying that, but I'm going to say something to you that's going to shake your tree a little bit. Taking money and putting it in the bank, that's not wise. Why? Because money loses value over time, and sitting in the bank, it gains no value. You have to put it in something that's paying you some dividends, that's growing, that has value, that's going to rise in the interest rate for you, something. Put it in a regular savings account, that's a little interest. That's not much. Put it in checking is zero. You just letting that money sit there and rot away is gaining nothing there. So I like to put stuff in IRAs. I like to put stuff in brokerage accounts. I'll put money, even me, and I'm not advising anybody to do this if you don't have discipline, but even buying with credit cards that give me 3% and 5% back, but then paying it right off, not letting it build up so down it's eating away what I'm gaining with interest. A lot of people can't do that. So that's why they created debit cards for people who just want to make money and spend it and not build anything on the money. These things are important things, and I want to lay these things out to get going. And I like for more people to get on there and tell me, how do you learn? How do you feel you learn better? Do you learn better through listening, through seeing, you visual, your auditory? That's important, that you know your style. I had somebody that was online with me, was trying to teach me, he was trying to teach me some new investment things that they're doing in the stock market, and he was getting frustrated with me because I didn't like the way he was trying to teach me, because he kept trying to teach me through text. Well, just do this. Okay, go there and do this. Okay, go click on that and go do this. And I said, listen, dude, either get somebody else on your team to help me, or we're not going to do any business anymore, because I'm not going to learn like that. I'm not going to learn from you telling me, do this, do that, do this, because I have to know why. Don't tell me, just do this. Just go there, click this and put this in there. Why? How does that work? Why is that the right way to do it? I need to understand why it works. You can't just tell me to do it and then turn away. So I will not work with a teacher in school or otherwise who just says, do it because I said so. Explain to me why that's the best way to do it. That's the way I learn. So consumers buy stuff that lose value over time. Producers buy stuff that gain value. This is important. Consumers always have the newest things. Producers always have the oldest things. Well, I'm liking a lot of this because it lines up with me, but I don't want to pat myself on the back too quick because I will buy things for the sake of consumption just because I like it. But I had to learn the value of how much time goes into it. Another thing I've known about consumers that he didn't say here, and this is important. Consumers, when they get a chunk of money, immediately feel like they need to go spend and buy something. They need to treat themselves. That's a consumer's mentality. As soon as they get their paycheck, they off to the races. I mean, they going to go, I got to buy me a new this, I got to buy me a new that. And you see these people on TV, like these women or guys that got so many sneakers in their closet that they never going to wear it. And they'll say, oh no, but these are investment over time. They're worth money. Yeah, but you're not investing them. You're just collecting them. You're not, come on, stop. So there's times people just spend so much money because they feel like they always need to treat themselves because they feel like they lack. So because they feel like they lack, they fill a void by every chance they get buying the new latest this and the latest that. That doesn't work well in terms of being a producer. Now, if you're buying a bunch of shoes and sneakers and stuff because you're looking at the value of it and how you can now turn that over into something else, that's very important. I knew this young man who was very into sneakers like that. And he would get all the latest sneakers and spend his money. And then he would turn around and he would sell those sneakers so he can get the newest sneaker. So he says, I'm not really spending money because I'm taking the sneakers I got and I'm getting the new sneakers I want. And I said, okay, yeah, that's intelligent. You're not wasting a bunch of money because you're now taking what you already have to get what you want, but you're not growing. You're not making any profit. You're just making yourself look up to date and cute for everybody. And you found a way to do it where you're not spending a bunch of money. That's like the women who like to go get the expensive dresses and keep the tag in them and take it back to the store. Well, you're still a consumer. You're not building anything by doing that. Okay, so you're getting over. But if you're not investing in something that grows for you while you sleep, residually, it's very hard to be successful. I'm watching my season right now, and I'm watching very carefully that I'm not spending more than I'm bringing in. You cannot spend more than you make and grow anything, anywhere. It's very important. These are things you got to learn. They're habits that you got to pick up. You got to teach yourself. There's a process to it. And I'm hoping that we can walk through it on this road for a millionaire New Year's resolution. Wealthy people think a certain way. And there's certain places that wealthy people won't go because the atmosphere is not conducive. It's like going to a bad restaurant. If you're a health food person, you're not going to go to a restaurant and everything is fried food. You don't put yourself around things. I'm at the point now that greasy stuff I can't eat. Now these got me eating this diet for so long that I can't. If I go and eat some greasy stuff with people, I can do it maybe for that afternoon, but then I'm not feeling good for the next day or so in terms of not sick, but just it doesn't feel right for me because I'm in a different place. So same thing with conversation and people that you're around. If you're around people that want to bling bling all the time, well, unless you have that to throw away, that should not be how we flow. I'm really trying to drive a point in. It's so important. So buy things that gain value over time. Even if you want to splurge, just make sure you get things that gain value over time. Consumers always have the newest things. Producers have the oldest things. I'll drive an old car, keep it in perfect condition forever and ever and ever. I don't think I bought a car that I haven't kept for almost 10 years. Like it's crazy, but I'll do that, just because I can. And even if I have money to get a new one, which I do, I'm like, this one still works. I don't get a new iPhone every time an iPhone comes out. I'll get a new iPhone made every 4 iPhones, because until this one slows down and stops working, I'm going to keep using it. So let's break down some of the terms that we made notes of, the difference between a producer and consumer, not just from this guy's video perspective, but just from a dictionary perspective. So here's what a consumer is, and you can make your tweaks. And again, this is not to make you feel bad or to make you feel uncomfortable, but this is to make you think about the way you treat and the way you deal with your life. A consumer is a person or entity that acquires goods or services for personal use rather than for resale or production. In simpler terms, a consumer is someone who spends money to obtain products or services that meet their needs or desires, but doesn't actively create or add value to those goods or services. So if you consume so that you can put stuff back to use or even twist it and make it something else so you can put it back on the market, you're a consumer. Didn't say consumers were bad. It's just breaking down the difference between a consumer and a producer, and I want you to identify which one you are. But wealthy people are producers. Consumers typically focus on consumption, using what is available in the market rather than producing or creating value in the context or personal finances. The consumer's mindset is usually associated with spending money on things that do not appreciate in value or generate future income. I pretty much kind of said this stuff already, but I just want to take it out of what this guy was just putting out as general terms, and I want to give it some value. What is a producer? A producer is a person, business, or entity that creates goods, services, or ideas with the intention of adding value and generating income. Now, a producer also is somebody who is always in the mind of creating and producing things that benefit other people, because a producer doesn't make money off of a product unless he creates a product that solves the problem or heals the pain of someone else. So it's very important that we understand, if you're a producer, you're not just producing a product, but you're producing a product that heals a pain, that solves a problem, or fulfills a desire. You know, people say, all the time, producing is healing a pain. Well, not really. And I say that, and people look at me funny when I say that. But I'm gonna name a thing or two that will make you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Remember the fidget spinner? Whose problem did that solve? Remember that little thing? They stuck it in their finger and they just spun the little wheel around, and that thing went to the roof and made millions of dollars, and then it faded out. Nobody ever wanted to see it again. But my point is, no, it also sometimes just brings people joy and puts a smile on people's face. And for a moment, that thing became a huge thing. They thought it was going to become a real big collectible. They started making them with all kinds of images and things. It didn't last. But the point is, for that moment, this person created something that satisfied an itch or a need in somebody's life, but you still produced something that brought value or joy or pleasure to someone else. So let's just take this. Let me just make sure I put this down on the table. Love me some consumers. I ain't hating on a consumer. I'm never going to diss a consumer. I love you. I want to make something that you continue to buy even if you don't need it, so I can be very wealthy. We need a world of consumers. That's how producers become successful. But you have to make sure which side of the fence you're on. If you're a consumer and you're proud of it, then just be a consumer. Ain't nobody hating on you. I'm not going out and spending $300 on a pair of jeans. I'm going to spend whatever that used to be $14.99, $19.99 for some Wranglers. That's what I'm going to do, and they last longer than the designer jeans. So the choice is yours. Comments, questions, Edwidge, anything you want to jump in and say? You can unmute yourself. I'm going to put my logo back on. It went off the screen.
This is a great topic because even as I was looking and listening, because I'm an auditory learner, I said, ooh, okay, I am a consumer because I have to get things, right? But
Hmm.
what what would make me more interested in becoming a producer? Um, because like you said, that's how you build wealth. And now I'm interested to figure out exactly how I can do that because I don't want to just buy stuff. And or I actually wanted to ask you, what were some ideas about how to get your money pregnant? Could you share some of your tips?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, the simplest way I figured by accident is putting some money somewhere every week where you can't touch it. I heard somebody say this not too long ago on a video. He said, for a person who upgraded every iPhone that came out since they started, spend somewhere close to $23,000 over from the first iPhone to this iPhone. So I'm saying if you upgraded your iPhone every time a new one came out, over time you spend close to $23,000. He said if you had instead had taken that money and bought Apple stock, you would be worth somewhere close to 75, $80 million right now. Producer, consumer, right? So production doesn't necessarily mean you have to go make products, but you try to create, like you said, get the money pregnant. So I started when I remember I was very, very poor for a very long time. And I remember when I first got my job in networks and I was working down on Wall Street, I had never made that kind of money in my life. And of course, we was gonna have a good time. But here's what I did. I went and bought I don't know if you remember this car, the Plymouth Neon. I bought a Neon. I didn't buy a BMW. I had money to buy a BMW, but I did not buy a BMW then. I bought a Neon. I bought a cheap car. Then my car after that was a PT Cruiser, right? I really stayed in the rent cars that was under $15,000. But I bought a house. I bought a house and I started telling, and I told, at this time, I don't know if they still exist, but it was a company called First Investors. And I told them, I want you to take $400 a week out of my check and put it into stocks. I didn't even know what mutual fund, didn't even know how it worked, but I just knew that I needed to put money somewhere, right? Didn't know what I was doing, but I was going to give it a shot. Years went by, and that money allowed me to pay off the house, the first house, which Angela has now. I paid off that house in less than 15 years. I paid the whole house off in 15 years, had no mortgage on it. And then now she has the house. I think I paid $78,000 for the house. The house right now is worth close to $400,000. The house I'm sitting in right now, I paid 60-something thousand for it, is now worth close to $250,000. The building I got in New York, I paid around $400,000 for that, is now worth $1.4 million. So if you think about it, the simplest way is to teach yourself to start putting money away regularly. You should be stacking. You should be stacking. It's very important. And Lindsay can tell you, when Fia, we was doing real well for a season, and Lindsay's like, I want a raise. And I said, no, I'll only give you a raise if it's going in an IRA. And she's come back to me later and say, thank you so much for that, because the time came that she needed that money. So what are you saving? What are you putting aside? Both of my kids, Talima and Markel, they stack money. Trust me, they stack money. They stack money. I've seen Talima not have a job for years and still got 20 grand and 10 grand and 15 grand in the bank. I've taught them that. Stack. But then now I'm saying, well, I don't have to tell Markel, he's in finances. Don't stack in savings. Stack in some investment account. Stack in some mutual fund. Stack money somewhere. My financial advisor just called me this week and he said to me, listen, I want to take some of your money and I want to buy 5 more shares or 10 more shares. He said, right now, we need to really go into AI. So I want to buy some shares from, he said, I want to buy a few more shares of Meta. I want to buy some shares of, I forgot the other one he said, I don't think it was Google, Meta. And I said, what about NVIDIA? He said, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, we're going to get 10 shares of NVIDIA. Now, that's not a ton of money that I'm spending. But, well, maybe it is to somebody. We're talking about 5-10 grand. But it's investment. It's money that I'm, so Edwidge, I'm answering your question the long way, but here's the answer to your question. Start thinking about putting money places that makes money. Get a mindset of it. Get yourself in a mindset of, I've said people say, well, I ain't got money to save. You don't have $5 that you could put away a week somewhere that you can't touch it in some account? You don't have $10? Then you deserve to be poor. You're a freaking bum. I don't care if I offend anybody. You're a bum. You telling me, I guarantee you spending that much money a week on fast food or junk food or something outside. Don't tell me you don't have that. And if you start doing that, you create a mindset in the spirit realm that you are a creator and a saver of things, and you begin to draw that to you. So I learned more about the market and more about stock because I just started doing it not knowing anything about it. You bring it up all the time and we laugh up about the guy who said he lost weight just by going around the gym and hanging around. He didn't even work out for a while. He just walked around or sat outside the gym in his car. But after a while being adjacent and being around it, he lost 30 pounds. Why? Because after a while you start to take on the environment. So if your environment is spenders or you're just a spender, and you can start to train yourself and teach yourself to save, to invest, to put money aside. Man, it's so important that you do this. I've put money aside, and I've had people hit me up recently and really kind of made me think, I need to stop telling people how much money I got because people start coming to me thinking it's okay. It's just hit me up. And it's like, no, I saved that. I saved that for you. I saved that for me. So I answered your question the long way around. You let me know if I answered it. But it's very important that you start to get yourself in the mindset of doing it, and then more ideas will come. I promise you. Things will start to make sense. I just downloaded Robinhood. I don't really know how to day trade, but I just went in there and started buying some little stocks and doing some things. I think I put like about $1,000 in there. And I looked the other day and it was up to 1,200, 1,300. Then it came back down to 11. And then it went back up. But I'm starting to see and get an idea how it works. And the more I do it, the more proficient I will become at it. But you draw wisdom and thank you, God. Listen, don't keep praying for wisdom and insight. Just as a waste of your time. You pray for it and then you go out in pursuit of it. And as you do, as people want to call it the universe, I say God, the universe opens up to you and brings those things to you. But you have to be in pursuit. So that's my advice. I hope that was helpful. Any comments? And Edwidge, tell me if that helped you.
It was very helpful, and I knew you were gonna hit all the points because I wanted to make sure everybody benefited from the question. Because I think some people are probably sitting in the audience saying, "Well, I don't know what to do." Right? You say start small, put something away. As you see the money start to grow, then you go, okay, well, maybe I can start putting something here, or I can start putting something there, and that makes sense. Start somewhere.
Okay, so for us Bible believers, right? I think of several stories in the Bible that spoke to me. One, the widow came to the prophet. She had no money and they were about to take away her home or whatever, arrest the kids. I don't know what the situation was. And the prophet said, "What do you have?" in your hand? What do you? She said, I just got this jar. He said, well, go gather as many jars as you can, and we'll pour the oil into the jars. And you see so many times in these Bible stories where, God will say to them, Moses, what's in your hand? My staff, use your staff. Like, you start with what you have. We can always look at what we don't have. And if you continue to look at what you don't have, you will multiply what you don't have. You start to gain ground by digging into what you do have, putting your hands to what you do have, and using what you do have. That's where the greatness is developed. I've never seen it any different. Once you start using what you have, opportunities open up for you. People begin to bring things to you. There are times that if you be smart about it, people will throw things away that are exactly what you need because they don't see the value in it because they're looking at what they don't have. I want to tell another story, but I want to see if Nelly has any questions or comments. And then I want to tell another story about this guy who was focused on what he didn't have.
Start with what you have, and the rest will come. But don't say I need to have this much and then I'll start, because you'll never start like that. So that's what I am walking away with as a refresher to remind me. Yeah.
That's awesome. So there's this, and this is a true story. I remember seeing this whole documentary on it a long time ago. It was before there was Netflix or streaming or anything. It was this guy, he was a successful doctor, and he bought this expensive mansion, more than what he could afford, but he was trying to keep up with the people around him, the socialites, and look the part and play the part with money he didn't have. He wound up going broke, and he was ashamed. And he was so ashamed or so concerned about what people thought about him that he let this thing depress him to the point of suicide. So he literally took the lives of him, his kids, and his wife. And it was this big, beautiful, like, round foyer with a wrap stair that went up. It was like just a beautiful place. Nice, like marble floor, and literally decided he could go no further. And so this is what he did. And they said the ironic, sad thing was, right above where he did this horrible deed to his family, there was a stained mosaic glass skylight that had been put into this house before he bought it. And the skylight itself was worth close to $3 million. He did this thing. I mean, even if he sold the house, he could have done something. But my point is, people who focus on what they don't have see what they don't have. And people who focus on possibility find possibility. People that focus on what they don't have are consumers. People that focus on possibility are producers. And that's all it takes to be a producer. It doesn't, I don't have a ton of money. You don't need a ton of money. What you need is a dream and a vision. As I sit here and I talk about, the building here that was worth this, and the house here that's worth that, and the other house over here that I got that's worth that, I need you guys to understand something. I come from a welfare family, poor South Bronx kid who grew up with absolutely nothing. Evicted, me and my family were put in the street in 1996, and that desperation opened up something in me that I said, I'm never going to be here again. And I fought my way like I never fought before. And within 18 months, I was financially independent. 50 Cent said this recently in an interview. He said, I have a disease. It's called ambition. and you contract it from lacking or doing without. I'm trying to catch his level of the disease, and I am. You decide your destiny, and I tell people this, some people was never going to do it. They'll listen to the sound of my voice and they still ain't going to do anything. But here's what I'm telling you. When people say to me, what does it take to get here? At which I say this to people that's really committed and driven. If you lose enough, if it costs you enough, you figure it out. Again, that's for people with drive. That's not for people who are going to lay down and lick their wounds and feel sorry for themselves.
This information never gets old. I want you to know that. Like, the fact that all of us now, part of the team, and those that are listening are starting to hear it. I think repetition for me is important.
Very important.
What you said was key. You know, it doesn't take a lot to be a producer. I think a lot of people think it has to be something huge. And they have to like do something so huge, and it's like this far away, where like you said, $5 a day, $5 a week, $5 every 2 weeks, like whenever you get paid. You know, downloading these apps, we have so much available to us, and I think sometimes it could be information overload, but you gave us really simple, practical steps. Become a saver. You know, don't let the money run away from you. Let it sit, let it stew, let it, you know, grow. And then you can say, okay, well, what do I do with this? Thousands of dollars, or, because you just said it, you laid it out. So I think that's something simple that everybody can take away from today.
That's awesome. Let me tell you this. If you really have a mindset that you want to be a millionaire, let's see if you can start the first quarter with $10,000 saved and put aside. Because opportunity is going to come and you're not going to be able to get any investment. Man, I wish I knew about Microsoft when it started. You wouldn't have done anything anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. How much money you got put aside? I have always had, and I'm not bragging, because this is a small amount to some of the people I'm around, a very small amount. But I always have about $100,000 on the side, always, because I never know when I'm going to need to jump in or get a hold of something that is, and I can't think for the past 20 or more years that I didn't have at least that. But now I'm like saying, I want to be able to say I have 100 million on the side. You know, I want to be able to say that, because why would you want that much? Well, if I want to buy a skyscraper, I'm not buying that with $100,000. That ain't even a down payment. There's a piece of property that I was looking at buying as an investment property. It was $2 million. They want a $400,000 down payment. They want 20%. This is the way you start to think. So if you're not putting money aside, if you're trying to build a business or do anything, it requires money. Well, once I get my money, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Why don't you have that money on the side so that you can do that? And when you were making money, and if you are making money, why aren't you putting money aside to invest? Now I'm putting money aside for a rainy day, so if I have to pay my bills. Okay, what about money that you're putting aside to invest in your next endeavor? That's big. That's very important. I'm watching the time. I know we started late, so I'm going a little past 8 o'clock tonight. But yeah, what about money you putting aside for an endeavor, not a rainy day, not for a slow time? And if you want to do that, do both. Have the rainy day money and money for a future endeavor. But put money aside. Once you get the first 5,000, I guarantee you it's going to get you excited about, okay, now I want to get up to 10,000. I don't know a lot of people that have that aside. And that's your problem. Get some new people to hang around. Act like you my friend. Join these lives and act like you know me one-on-one. I do that. I go on these different people's websites that's worth millions and billions of dollars. And I act like they my boys. Like I sit there and listen to their videos and stuff, and I take notes, and I act like I'm having a daily phone call. This is what I do. I'm gonna put myself around it until I'm around it. And it's beginning to happen. And naturally, I'm starting to find myself around these kind of people. What you got, Nelly?
Well, one of the biggest things I learned is you don't have to chase after wealth. You can attract it by the internal part of you. Your mindset, how you think about it, how you view it. It's your whole being. It's spiritual first, and then it manifests on the outside. So that mindset of understanding this, how it works, I think that's very important. And then you start putting yourself around the people like this. We're in this conversation. We're having this conversation. Everybody on this call right now, this live, we're getting fed this information because we're in this atmosphere now. And so it's to stay in this type of atmosphere, to keep your mind where it needs to be so that you can produce this, what we're talking about, the investment and using your money wisely and thinking wisely, because you're around people who are doing it and talking. So staying in that conversation. So this is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never say I'm chasing anything because anything I'm chasing is running from me. I like that. I like that, Talima. And it's funny because that if you think you chase is running from you, then listen, just go with scripture. All these blessings should come upon you and overtake you. The blessing's supposed to chase me. I'm not supposed to chase the blessing. I'm supposed to be chasing God. So that is something you can chase who don't run from you, my dear daughter. I chase God, and in chasing God, His Spirit will come upon me. The blessing will come upon me, and then overtake me and get ahead of me. So that's an awesome revelation, and I love watching life pursue me now, where for so many years I pursued life. So that's big. What's going on, Edwidge? And do we got any comments?
No, I love what you said there. You said you were pursuing life.
Okay, right. I was like watching life, but I wasn't pursuing the life that I, life. I'm not talking about wealth and money now. I'm talking about just life.
Right. No, that spoke to me, and I was, as you were saying it, I was like, why did that hit me? Because people will say, are you living or are you existing, right? I don't know if that would be the same comparison, but
yeah, I would agree it's the same.
Pursue life. Yeah, this is really good. I look forward to Tuesdays, so I get my inspiration, and I get something to think about. Pursuing, right? Because the word is pursuing. We're not just actively waiting. We're pursuing. We're actually taking steps. So again, what you said, that app that I put a little money in, I'm gonna look at it now, because I don't think I look at it. The money just kind of goes in there, like actively participating in the process. And you said something to me actually last week that spoke to me too, going a little deeper. Not just surface stuff, but like doing a little bit more investigation, looking more into things, and not just allowing things to just kind of, exist around me, but actually knowing what's going on. That was important for me, because I've heard it before in a different way, but that spoke to me a little bit more.
Ruth wrote, and I like it. She put in something, but I think it's find something practical and put it to work. I believe that's what she's saying, and you're absolutely right. And Paul, I know what you're doing. You're finding songs that line up with what's being said and letting yourself be motivated. I'm not mad at that at all. listen, if you're gonna listen to music that's gonna motivate you to get up and go do something. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity right now, and I'm about to land this plane for the night. But we have an opportunity to do something phenomenal, to do something great with this time and season in our lives. You know, we can sit there and continue to watch other people and say, I wish, I wish, I wish. I love, you know, there's certain people that I really have an affinity toward, and 50 Cent is one of those people, because he got up, he found his way out the hood, he got knocked back. Well, he was in the hood first, he went the illegal route, he got knocked down, somebody tried to unalive him, he survived that, he went into the rap game, he cleaned up, then he did the vitamin water deal when everybody else was trying to do alcohol, and he cleaned up, and then he messed up his taxes and his money and wound up broke again. And then he found his way back again and wound into TV shows and movies. And now he's saying, okay, now I'm buying a whole city and reviving a city. And just to watch this person that no matter how many times he gets knocked down, he gets up. And it's really inspiring me because, you know, I'm at the age where a lot of people go, you know, this is your retirement age and you should be laying down right now. And I'm like, no, I feel like I'm really alive for the first time in my life. And I said something, there was an interview I did not too long ago and it got posted today. And of course I was so nervous about the interview because he didn't ask any of the questions that he said he was going to ask. He went a whole different direction. And he started asking me about personal things, about my personal self and about my faith and this kind of stuff. And this is a business interview. But I saw the interview today and the interview was phenomenal. So we're going to send you a link to it. He's put it on his YouTube page. It's from the Chamber. It's called Backyard Business. And one of the things I said as we wrapped up the interview is, listen, you keep getting up and you get knocked down and you keep getting up, you get knocked down, you keep getting up. And I said, listen, and if you get knocked down to the dirt, while you're down on the dirt, since you're in the dirt, plant some seed. Try to get something to grow. If you want to keep finding yourself on the dirt, then while you're on the dirt, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, plant something while you're down there. And that, you know, just that revelation coming to me and me sharing that spoke so much to me about where I am right now. Just keep getting up. But while you're down, do something with it. Find something down there that you can work with to get back up with. It works for me, and for the time that I got left on this planet, and I believe it's going to be some time, but for whatever that time is, they say live every day like it's your last. I'm coming to that place in life. I'm trying to get the most out of life and do the things that I'm put here to do and not worry about everything else. And I'm not going to tell you that there are not days that I'm looking at the bank account and, you know, it's not enough coming in. I'm not going to tell you there's not days that I'm catch myself counting what I don't have instead of what I do. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I don't do those things. But I'm telling you, I'm a producer more than a consumer. And I make sure when I catch myself in that place of consuming negativity or doubt or unbelief or, you know, disdain about this or that, I catch myself and say, you have a destiny to fulfill and you don't have time to lay around feeling sorry for yourself. This is going to gain you nothing in the long run, but the lepers, why sit here till we die? Let's go forward. At least we may find something on the way. And God healed them on the road. So faith without works is dead. Get up. Get headed in a direction that's going to bring you to a place of greatness. And let's grow. Closing words, my lovely co-host.
Yes, sir. As everyone knows by now, we're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Come join us. Continue working on your checklist. It's on the website at visionbuilders.com. Come with your questions. come with ideas, come with visions, come with questions, whatever it is. We enjoy the interaction. And thank you, Mr. Brown, for your words of wisdom and inspiration.
You're welcome. Hey, you have not because you ask not. If you're just a spectator, you just come in here to listen to me talk, but you're not bringing questions and you're not, listen, there's going to come a time in the near future that it may cost you $20,000 to get in a webinar to hear me talk. So while I'm here doing it for free, you better take advantage of it. You may not be giving it value because it's not worth something, but you're going to turn around one day and say, I wish I had invested, or I wish I had taken advantage of the time when I had it. I'm telling you that's going to happen, and I'm telling you it's going to happen in the very near future. Not 20 years from now, but probably within the next year, if that much. I'm not going to be accessible like I am now for you. So you better jump in here and you better get what you need to get. And I'm speaking it into the air. I want to make sure you hear what I'm saying. You watch where I'm going to be within the next year. You watch. If it even makes it to a year. You watch. You watch. It's going to be unrecognizable. Mm-hmm. Watch the things I'm about to do. Nelly?
Amen. I received that, the supernatural growth and speaking it out into the atmosphere and then taking the actions behind it. So yeah, I definitely I touch and agree on that. And thank you for this again, the platform. This is amazing. It was one more comment over here where Lindsay said, this is all great. Come on, not accessible. Ruth said, it's coming. Then Talima says, yes, Daddy-o.
So let me end by reading our mantra. Vision Builders is a coaching and mentoring platform dedicated to empowering individuals to turn their dreams into reality. Through our focused meetings, we provide guidance and support to entrepreneurs, career professionals, and professional brands, helping them discover their purpose and fulfill their destiny. At Vision Builders, we are building visions from A to Z. I'm going to change that and shorten that. That's to become our mantra. But I want you to understand this. This is the power of what we're here for. And I believe everybody here that's consistently here and taking what they need to take to grow, I believe within a year you're going to be unrecognizable even to yourself. I believe that. Because that's what we're here to do. You ready? Let's grow.